We now call the Board of Education regular meeting to order. The time is now 5:30 p.m. Ms. Raymond, please let the record show that all board members are present. At this time, our Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Stephen Hall, will introduce students from Central High School to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. We are pleased to be joined tonight by Central High School students who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. They are all members of their school's Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America chapter. We have with us Elise Goodfriend, Bella Goodfriend, Keisha Jasmine, and Ethan Zook. So Elise is a junior and currently serves as president of both the local and Region 10 FCCLA chapters. She recently competed at the state and regional levels in food innovation. She earned gold and will advance to compete at nationals in July. Bella is a sophomore, and her role in FCCLA is to create advertisements and posters for promotions at school. She is dedicated to her schoolwork and has been a great asset to the club, which she began participating in as a scholar. Keisha is a junior who enjoys studying fashion and interior design. She competed at the state level in Digital Stories for Change and received 6th place. She will also compete at nationals in July. Ethan is a senior and is the FCCLA chapter vice president. He will attend Missouri State University in the fall to study family consumer sciences education. We are proud to say that Ethan was recently accepted into the SPS Future Educators program. Yes. And we look forward to Ethan returning to teach at SPS in the future. We are honored to have these students with us tonight, and we would also like to recognize any other members of the Central High School family who are present. Please stand if you are here to support these students. At this time, we invite you to join the Central Bulldogs as they lead the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able to stand, please do. And students, when you're ready, please lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take a photo. Thank you, students. We also appreciate these Central students for being here tonight because we are also honoring their FCCLA advisor for a recent accomplishment. Ms. Sarah Sutton, would you please come forward? Ms. Sutton has been the Central High School FCCLA advisor for the past 7 years, and earlier this spring she was named Missouri Advisor of the Year. This award recognizes an advisor who has dedicated 5 or more years to the organization and inspires members to participating in serving their community, achieving their goals while making outstanding contributions to FCCLA at all levels. I would also like to mention that Cherokee Middle School teacher Amanda Sandell, who was named Missouri New Advisor of the Year. She started the first FCCLA chapter at Cherokee in 2022. Unfortunately, Amanda had another commitment tonight and was unable to be with us. But congratulations to both Sarah and Amanda on this notable achievement. At this time, I would like to introduce Danielle O'Neill, who is a physical education teacher at Sherwood Elementary School. Danielle, would you please come forward? Danielle was recently named 2025 Central District Teacher of the Year by the Society of Health and Physical Educators. Danielle is the only elementary PE teacher to receive this award in all 9 Central District states. She also presented a session titled Like a Girl at the National Conference, which shared practical activities and teaching methods designed to build confidence and resilience in young women. The session goal was to redefine what it means to do things, quote, like a girl, and empower students to embrace their full potential. She also wrote a blog on the same topic, which was published by the National Health and Physical Education Society. If these things are not enough evidence about her passion and commitment to children, let me share with you just a few of her activities over the past week alone. Last Monday, Danielle led 12 girls for a Girls on the Run practice to prepare for this Saturday's race. Wednesday, she took a group of Sherwood students to the SPS Elementary Golf Tournament. On Friday, she took 20 Sherwood students to the Bass Pro Paint the Run race. And next week, she will lead a bike bus before school to celebrate the end of the bike unit that she has been teaching. All of these opportunities happen outside of the school day, but she is committed to them because they help build relationships and encourage students to find enjoyment in an active lifestyle. Please join us in congratulating and thanking Danielle for her service. And Ms. Raymond, if you could bring up the PowerPoint, please, for our next portion. Each April, school districts across the country celebrate School Library Month, and they plan activities to create awareness of the important role that school libraries play in learning and student growth and development. At SPS, we invited students to participate in a district-wide bookmark design competition. Students were asked to interpret the theme of Drawn to the Library. One winner was selected for the elementary, middle, and high school levels, and we have their designs to share with you tonight. Our elementary school winner is Primrose Martinez, a 5th grader at Wilsons Creek Intermediate School. You could advance for me, thank you. Our middle school winner is Rima De Leon, an 8th grader at Jarrett Middle School. And finally, our high school winner is Emily Liu, a 9th grader at Kickapoo High School. So congratulations to these talented students, and we will find unique ways to celebrate their work with producing bookmarks that will be distributed in the coming year across our district. To conclude our recognitions tonight, we are pleased to honor the April Employee of the Month. The recipient this month is a router in our transportation department who places a priority on safety and customer service. According to our transportation director, Mr. Keith Adams, Grace, quote, does a great job day after day and takes pride in her work. She is always willing to help and problem solve for our drivers, her coworkers, school staff, and parents to make sure that everyone is taken care of. Her routes are always well done and thought through, and she is always willing to lend an extra hand to help others. Let's watch this video to learn more about Grace Lodwick.
The drivers are my backbone to my job, especially since I'm talking about I route all of the elementary schools. The drivers are out there They see what's going on. They can help me to make sure that we're keeping the students, the kids, my babies, safe. My name is Grace Ladwick. I am a router and also a computer specialist. Well, what that is I take all the eligible students, look at their location, try to find the safest stop available to put them on, but yet the closest stop, and then get them on a bus.
Grace just cares so much for our students and their safety and trying to get them routed in a timely fashion. She's humble. She probably wouldn't say some of these things about herself. She just takes great care in everything that she does. She tries to do it with excellence as she's routing. She's trying to make the best stop placements that she can to keep the kids safe. You'll probably hear her say, my kiddos, and she absolutely feels that way about them. She wants to keep them safe. She wants them to have a good bus ride, and she wants them to have a good experience.
The students are always first. Their safety, their well-being is always first. Not just to me. Everybody in this department's going to tell you that. We're here for the kids. The department has a wonderful team here. It's an awesome team. They work great together. We all support each other. We all back each other up. We're all there for each other. That's what makes the job easier. The people.
I'm just very grateful for having had the opportunity to work with Grace for all of these years in different capacities. She is just an amazing person, and the district's so lucky to have her, lucky to have her as a friend.
Congratulations to Grace Lodwick, the Employee of the Month for Springfield Public Schools.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want a team group? Transportation? Let's get a group photo. Do you want to? Can you come up, transportation? We'll take a group picture together. And then move with her family as well.
Let's make a couple of lines.
Oh, okay.
Grace, why don't you stand between Keith and come forward? You stand between. I need you to scooch in a little bit. I need to make the line a little bit shorter.
Closer together. Perfect.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
And then we're going to do it with her family as well. One more with her family. Yes. Absolutely. We're going to. Oh, sure. Can I take one with your phone? You ready? On three. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you, board members. That concludes Honoring Excellence for this month.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Hall. Our next item is the approval of the agenda. Our recommended action is that the board approve the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Thomas Tate moved.
Second.
Board Member Huff, second. Let's take a vote. We have 5 votes recorded.
Yeah, she's saying, you don't have Susan? She's saying she doesn't have Susan. You can't help someone. Elsa, do you vote first? Our public speaker's not here.
Oh, okay. So I just skipped that part altogether?
You can say we now come to public speakers, but we had one speaker registered for tonight, but he's not
Okay,
here.
got it. Well, we all love technology.
It's a new system for all of us.
Yes, Dr. Lathan reminded us, and I will tell the group that it is a new system for all of us. So we are adjusting. I'm going to assume, Board Member Smart, that you're, okay, the motion passes with 7 votes. Thank you. We've now come to the portion of our meeting where we can hear from speakers. The board always welcomes comments about the issues being discussed, and they use this time in our meeting to listen to public, but we don't comment or engage. I'm wondering if Mr. Dalton Collier is here this evening? Okay, he was the scheduled speaker, so we will go on past that. Item 3.0, consent agenda items. Items were presented at the April 15th, 2025 study session for review, and board members were given an opportunity to ask questions at that time, as well as additional information and questions answered by email. Our recommended action is that the board approve consent agenda items 3.01 to 3.06. Do I have a motion? Board Member Smart, motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Board Member Kincaid as a second. Let's vote. The motion passes with 7 votes. Next is item 4.0, information reports, 4.01, Middle School Boundary Advisory Committee. Deputy Superintendent of Operations, Dr. Travis Shaw, will please come to the podium, and he does. Dr. Shaw?
Good evening, board. So back in the fall, for those of you that were on the board, recall that we, as administration, asked for you to approve that a middle school boundary advisory committee be put together to bring a lot of different ideas in front of everyone so that we could determine if and what potential boundary adjustments might need to be made. And so we put together a very diverse group of individuals that was parents that were on that group. We had board members that represented that group. We had staff members. We had community members. We had teachers, NEA representation, MSTA representation. And so we brought that group together because the idea around middle school boundaries was very complex, and we felt like we needed to get a lot of different ideas in place in front of us so that we could determine, was there a next step? And so the purpose of this group was to evaluate the middle school boundaries of the district and to provide recommendations to the board that would not take place any sooner than the 26-27 school year. That was something that we emphasized at every meeting that we had because we wanted to make sure that they understood this wasn't going to be immediate, but we needed to look into the future, but also to make sure that if something was going to come to the board, that you had plenty of time to make those decisions. And so along those lines, we had committee guidelines. Again, the purpose was front and center. We told the group that we would meet no more than 6 times for 90 minutes each. We ended up only needing to meet 4 based on the work that was accomplished. The resources were primarily going to be a lot of staff resources, but also we provided them with a demographic and boundary study that you all saw that really helped to guide some of that work. And then the other guideline was that we were going to be bringing something to the board in April, and here we are today. So this was a timeline in which we met. The plan was to meet every other week, but Winter had another idea for us between the February 4th and March 11th timeframe. And so we had to move that based on the weather as well as schedules where we could fit that in place. And then finally, the report to the Board of Education. So during this work, after 2 full meetings of information, toward the end of the 3rd meeting, we asked the group to select one of 3 things. One was you didn't see any reason at this point in time to do anything. Or 2, that you wanted to give guidance to the administration to continue moving forward, to continue looking at some certain things. Or 3, we have a specific recommendation that we think needs to take place and needs to move forward. And at the time, the committee selected that second option of basically saying, we recommend the administration continue to do this work. And they came up with 2 specific focus areas. And once we continue moving forward with that, we made the commitment that we would re-engage that group should we want to bring something further to the board. And so the 2 areas of evaluation that they brought to us was one, that they wanted us to explore adjusting Wilson's Creek from being a 5-6 intermediate school to a 6-8 middle school. Now keep in mind, the charge was for the 26-27 school year. That recommendation has a lot of complexities and really no way that could come for a 26-27 school year. You're talking about potentially expanding a building. You're talking about adding grades to their elementary feeders. And so the commitment is to look at it, but obviously the commitment isn't going to be for the 26-27 school year for those reasons. The other was to determine how can we make elementary, middle, and high school feeder patterns essentially become pure feeder patterns, meaning no schools split at all, which on paper and in theory sounds great, but again, very, very complex. There's a lot to that. And so again, given the fact that that one will take so much work, as well as we have to really truly look at, is there that need? And that's the one thing that really stood out to this group was that when we made the changes for our boundaries for a couple of elementaries, it was really due to utilization as well as overcrowding. There just isn't that sense of urgency right now with middle schools because we're not really seeing that. And so that one we're going to look into to figure out how that works, but not something that we would be bringing to you in the fall for a future recommendation. But as many committees do within their comments and discussions, they had some additional considerations that they brought to us. So these are 2 that we're going to look at. They don't really have a whole lot to do around boundaries specifically, but looking at and evaluating, is the middle school transportation an option to increase the eligibility for that? Again, that's around resources. We're proud that we're going to be able to do that for our elementary kids. Again, about 1,100 more students will gain eligibility, bringing that down to 1. But they want us to continue looking at that for middle school students, but also looking at transportation for students involved in after-school activities. A lot of students simply don't participate in activities because they don't have a way to get home. And so that was something that the group said, we'd like for you to look into that. What is that going to take? What would that cost? And so those are some additional considerations that we will move forward and look at, and then we'll bring back to our cabinet and have those discussions later. So, but that is really the update that we wanted to provide. We don't have a recommendation for you because we just simply didn't get to that point and the need for that recommendation. But those are the four things that the committee wants us to consider for the future. Questions that I could answer for you. Bruce Douglas, our Chief Information Officer, was very instrumental in the work in getting the planning done. He really did a lot of that work, and so I thank him for that, putting the presentations together and really being kind of the strategy behind it, and then he and I executing that. Thank you, Ms. Provance and Dr. Thomas Tate, for serving on the committee as board members as well.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. Are there any questions or comments from fellow board members? Board Member Mahabna Khani.
Okay, so I have a question and then a couple of comments. My question is on the advisory committee. I see the names and I know that it's supposed to be teachers, parents, community members. Can you share at a later date that same list, but what category each individual falls into?
Sure.
I think that would be helpful. Okay. And then I'm really pleased with the work they did. They clearly put a lot of thought into it because I think some of the things they brought up hadn't necessarily been like a top priority consideration.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? I hadn't thought about it and the pros and cons, and it just goes to show how valuable it is when we go out and we get feedback from a diverse group of individuals. So that's very valuable. And I feel that, you know, we don't talk about it as much, but we all know that transportation remains an obstacle for many of our families. I mean, it certainly hinders the after-school activities and all that. So, and for that reason, because we have 2 new board members, and just to recap for the rest of us, can we just do a quick recap of the radiuses and where we are right now?
Currently, right now, our K-5, including K-8 schools, are at 1.5 miles.
Right.
And then our middle school and high schools are at 2.5 miles.
And just to be clear, so a K-8 school falls into the K-5 because those are the same students? Okay.
Correct.
And so these 1,100 students are new middle school students, not
They would be new elementary or
Middle-
K-8
K-8.
students. But if it is only a middle school, then they are at the 2.5 mile radius.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions or comments from board? Okay, thank you, Dr. Shaw. Appreciate it. Moving on to item 5.01, 2023 bond project updates, change orders, and agreements. Executive Director of Operations, Mr. Sean Dilday, will provide information on the bond project updates and change orders. And just to note, he's been busy all day assessing who's got power and who doesn't. So
And
we're
we have
glad
a
you
lot
could
of
join
not
us.
power. Yes, it has been a very busy day, and our operations team has been on the ground, and it's been a hectic one. So before you tonight is change order agreements. Tonight, I'm asking for approval to accept $113,883.53 in change order agreements.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Dr. Muhammad Makhani, was that your motion? Yes. Okay, Dr. Muhammad Makhani, motion. And the second, Dr. Thomas Tate. Let's vote. And the motion passes with 7 votes. Thank you. Next up is item 5.02, 2023 bond project update and recommendation. Deputy Superintendent
Tammy, can you pull up that presentation for me, please? Okay, so excited to be here this evening to bring a recommendation to the board and seek approval on a couple different projects. So let's talk a little bit how we have gotten where we are. So this is a slide that I've shown before, but it was also first shown in November of 22 by Dr. Mulford, and this was the recommendation from administration to move forward with certain projects. So what I want to highlight on this screen is simply the highlighted number. So in the initial recommendation, we had, of the $220 million of bond, we had $200,504,000 that was part of that, leaving us with about $19.5 million of unallocated funds that we would use for cost avoidance, any overages, things like that, that we potentially might need. And so we are at a place now where we have above and beyond that we need to make some decisions on what we want to do with those funds. And so the highlighted yellow represents the obligated funds currently in the 2023 bond issue. And when I say allocated, that means they've either been spent, they've been encumbered through contracts, they've been recommended and approved by this board. For example, the new budget for Pershing Middle School being a new construction, all of the safety projects that have been completed, any bond associated costs and fees. So we've got $208 million of that initial 220 that we have allocated. And so you can see in the chart below the $220 million bond, we earn premium when we sell our bonds, and we have earned $12.3 million already on the $190 million in bonds that we've sold. Our bond advisors are telling us that when we sell the additional $30 million, we should expect another $3 million in premium. That gives us the $15.3 million. Interest, currently, we've earned over $13 million in the interest when we put that money in our bank and we invest it. And so, again, our bond advisors are letting us know that we're going to earn almost another $8 million, getting us just under $21 million in interest for these bonds. So giving us a total of a little over $256 million to be able to allocate towards projects, leaving us with a little over $48 million left to spend. Okay. The other thing I want to highlight, and it's just a note that I put at the bottom, in 2019, that current board approved for $10 million to be transferred from the capital reserve budget over into bond. And we currently have $5.2 million of that remaining. So we only spent $4.8 million on that particular bond. And so we have that sitting should we need to use it on this particular bond issue. I think that's important simply because there's a lot of questions maybe that come up around the unknowns with tariffs and different things. And so having a $5.2 million cushion is a nice cushion to have there. So when we look at, well, what's next? These projects that you see on the screen are our phase 3 projects. And we have 6 of them that from the original project list that was created in 2018, these are what are left. And so you can see the condition scores associated with each of those. Now, not to get into a lot of the weeds on the why behind certain ones moving forward, but there are some that have more complexities than others. Some are just simply too expensive to do with this particular bond. And so that's part of why we came to the recommendation in which we did in bringing forward. So the first one that we'd like to bring forward is Bingham Elementary. That is the current site. I was just at Bingham today. Bingham has about 40,000 square feet in their current facility. It's all one level, very narrow hallways, very low ceilings, a lot of issues from a mechanical standpoint, making it very difficult to really make it into the facility that we need. And so the recommendation for you is to replace that current building and build a new one. Now, this is simply a conceptual design. And what I mean by that is when the architects did the initial feasibility study for a campus that size, they said, you need about 65,000 square feet to make your program fit and work. And so this, what you see in front of you, is simply a 2-story building that accommodates those the square feet needed for that. So that, again, is just a concept, so we don't think about anything else around it, but this is just something that provides the square footage for the particular building. The second recommendation that we would bring forward would be at Bissett Elementary. You can see that current site. That is about 33,000 square feet, sits on our far west part of our boundary, quite a ways away from any of our other schools. And so the recommendation would be to renovate, and do a major renovation on the existing 33,000 square feet, but adding 22,000 square feet to that space. Part of that would be a storm shelter gymnasium that they currently do not have, and then adding some additional spaces per what that campus really needs. Again, making sure that the program that we've established is met with this particular site. Again, a conceptual design, just placing boxes where the current school sits. So this recommendation represents $47.8 million. You can see that the total cost that we would have for the new construction. Those dollar amounts are based off of the Pipkin bid that we just received, and then escalating those out another year, just like we did with Pershing. And so those square footage costs are associated with that, and then we apply our percentages to the furniture, fixture, and equipment, the A&E, and then they also, a new construction project, we apply a 3% contingency on top of that. Bissett Elementary, again, utilizing the square footage costs that we know of. The only difference is with the renovation, we like to apply a 5% contingency. And so you get 27.3 for Bingham Elementary, and you get 20.4 for Bissett Elementary, giving us our total of 47.8. So about $400,000 under what we expect to have in the 48.2 million range. And then we have the additional 5.2 million should we need to use that. So this is our timeline that we've been working with. Through April 16th to the 18th, we did sit down with all board members in small groups to go through this recommendation in very detail, let you ask questions and provide you with as much information as you needed. Some of you chose to tour both Bingham and Bissett because you hadn't seen those, and so that gives you a good idea of what we're working with on those facilities. Tonight, we're asking the board to approve these recommendations to move forward with the design of these particular projects. We will utilize the construction manager at risk delivery method, so upon approval, we would then release that RFQ so that we can start that statutory process that usually takes us 6 to 8 weeks. May 13th, Sean Dilday would be coming back to the board recommending architects for those two projects based on our RFQ process that we have in place. And then by June 24th at that board meeting, we would be bringing recommendations for most likely 2 different construction managers, one to work on each project. And we would do that again through our process of RFQ submittal and review and interviews and then scoring. So that's the timeline as you see from mid-April through the end of June. And then once all of that takes place, then the work gets started and we begin design probably in August once staff is all back in place. Questions? Yes, Sharita.
I have a few questions. So for phase 3, we're pulling 2 out of phase 3. I know we've discussed it, but will we be doing another demographic study prior to phase 3?
Yes, we would need to do both. Another demographic boundary study. A district our size needs to be doing that work every 5 years because things just change enough. And we need to make sure that whatever is projecting out is being reflective and accurate of what they're suggesting. The other thing that we need to do is another facility master plan study. That didn't happen. Last time it happened was in 2016. So by the time we run another bond in 28, that's going to be well over 10 years old, and so we need current, accurate, up-to-date information. These 2 particular projects, one of those schools is 75 years old, and the other one is currently 69 years old.
My other question was, what's the current utilization for each of these schools?
So utilization currently, I believe, in Bissett is around 70%, 65 to 70%, so we've got plenty of room for growth. And Bingham is probably about 90%, and so we need to make sure that we're making good decisions on how this building is built, but also looking at where kids are going to school and around that area.
Part of the reason I wanted to know about utilization was I was wondering about the choice to do a renovation versus new construction for Bissett. And I see on your, conceptual design that it's only adding a couple of classes plus the gym storm shelter. Is this because of the utilization, or, the building is old and it needs some work, so we talked about before the costs for new constructions tend to work out a little bit better than some of the renovations we've done.
Well, so some of that is due to, for example, just a few years ago, less than 5, we replaced the entire HVAC system in that building.
Okay.
So we don't want to do that work and then completely lose all of that work. We've replaced roofing on certain areas of the building. The other piece to that too is when you look at a school which has about a 300 to 350 capacity, and then you can save yourself dollars by just adding some square footage, but then going in and renovating. And when you look at both of those schools, when you're in both of those schools, and some of you that were in both of them can probably attest to that, they're very different buildings. Bingham is actually 6 years newer than what Bissett is, but whoever built it, whoever designed it, it's just different. And you can go in and you can renovate those spaces and get what you need out of it. Bingham had a lot of things like Pershing did. The hallways are so narrow, you can't do anything with those. And so being able to make those into the schools that we need to, one just fits a new construction better over the other when we don't have to. And in that 33,000 square feet, in that concept, about half of it was a light renovation. It needs a really nice facelift. I'm trying to think, the other half was kind of split evenly of medium and heavy renovation. So it's not like Pershing and what we would expect with Bingham, that those buildings would need a lot of heavy renovation costs, really driving those costs up. So.
Thank you.
Yes, Board Member Kincaid.
And thank you to the principals and SPS staff that took us on the tours of Bingham and Bissett, because it had been a while since I had been out there. I know we had small group conversations, and in our small group conversation, we had the conversation, let me say that word one more time, that if we move forward with this right now and then costs increase for goods and other supplies, we can always rein back and wait on this. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what we're asking you to commit to essentially tonight is that we move forward with these two projects. The next 12 months is going to be in design, and so we're going to be, as well as bringing on the contractor to be a part of that team. And so should costs change drastically over the next year, then if we had to, we could take one of those projects, the design of that building, and put it on the shelf and not move forward with it if the money's not there. There's absolutely plenty of money to do one of these without a problem. There's money to do both of them, but in the event something changes, and when I say changes, if something increases cost by over $5 million because we have that $5.2 million sitting there, then we would cross that bridge when we get there. But you don't commit to the construction until the guaranteed maximum price contract is brought before you that you have to approve. So, and another one thing I want to point out with that, because we're utilizing the construction manager at risk delivery method, they're given their budget right up front. And those individuals, along with our architects, work collaboratively together with SPS team, and we make sure that we don't go over those budgets. And we design accordingly so that we fit within that budget. Yes, Sharita.
Follow-up questions on what Danielle just asked. And help me out, because I don't remember, we talked about in our small group, the construction manager at risk, and something that you just said about the construction manager at risk taking some of the cost if we did our bid and the cost changed, we're stuck at the cost that we bid for, or?
So one of the benefits to using the CMR delivery method is they are the construction manager at risk. And so they will be contracting directly with all of the subcontractors. And so we don't get in the middle of that. And so when the subcontractors submit the bids for their specific trade and they're selected and they sign those contracts, then that relationship is with those two together, and that general contractor, if you will, the construction manager, works directly with them in the event that something would change.
Other comments or questions? Dr. Mahad Makani?
Really good questions. Thank you for asking them. And also, I want to reiterate how, on such short notice, both Dr. Metter and Dr. Alley were accommodating. So it was my second time, and I went with Ms. Bruner to Bingham. And I mean, I just have to give a shout out to Dr. Metter for 15 years. And maybe it's because I was looking at this tour with an eye towards seriously considering building a new building. And I don't know why I saw so much more than I had seen previously, but I was so impressed by how creative they were and how fluid. Every year it seemed like it's like the traveling, you know, the art room's here and then it's here and then this is here. But what was so impressive was like he said it all without batting an eyelash, as though like it was a tour of a palace, and he'd been in charge for 15 years. And I thought, how did you do it for as long as you have? I mean, I didn't say any of that. I just thought it. But I got to be honest, I don't usually like think to myself, I can't wait to go to the next board meeting, but and vote on this. I just could not wait to get here and vote on this. And I just wish I was a fly on the wall of wherever Dr. Metter is so I could see his expression. So I'm really excited about this vote. And also, so when we came on the board about the same time, we went pretty quickly. We had the York groundbreaking, and then we went to the opening of Williams and Boyd, and we're all new together at the same time. And there was just something in the face of the older board, not older, but who had been there longer, the board members, and there was this just pure joy. And not that we weren't joyous, but now I get it, because I had never seen the old Boyd or the old Williams. So yes, it's impressive to be in a new space and a new building, but it's like something else so I'm coming back from Bingham. I don't care if it's this phase or phase 3, but anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'll just stop.
I think you're taking over my role as board historian here. Good for you. Good for you. Any other questions or comments? Board Member Provance?
I'd like to share that shout out to Adam Metter at Bingham. I finished my visit and I asked him, I said, now, Adam, what do we need to do to keep great administrators like you? What does SPS need to do? And he looked at me like, what a dumb question you're asking. He goes, I love my job. He goes, I don't want to go anywhere else. He goes, I open up the door at 6:45 in the morning. And he goes, the climate, all the teachers, we love these kids. And I'm glad we can give those kids, the principal and all those staff members, a new building in a couple, how many years?
2?
I'll take 2.
2.5.
Thank you.
Okay, just
Dr. Mahad Makani?
pile on more shout outs. So I had been in that building twice before I was a board member, both times because my daughter had attended Explorer there. And I never saw it. I never saw all the things that were bad or the shortcomings. Somehow they presented it and had it put together and had the kids, and I don't know, I never walked away thinking, oh, what a drab building. It just felt fun and exciting and colorful, and I don't know how I didn't see it, and it wasn't that long ago, so.
Should have been there today when the electricity was out. It was vibrant.
Right. Well, the recommended action is that the board approve 2 additional construction projects as presented, which include building a new Bingham Elementary School and renovating Bissett Elementary School utilizing the 2023 bond funds. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Dr. Thomas Tate moved. Dr. Mahad Makani, second. Let's vote. And the motion passes with 7 votes. Thank you. Next, we have item 6.01, Superintendent's Update.
Good evening, board members. This Thursday, we're hosting the Community Partner and Volunteer Celebration to honor 15 outstanding volunteers and 14 recipients of the Partner in Excellence Award. We'll also announce the Partner and Volunteer of the Year. We're deeply grateful to the hundreds of volunteers and partners who support SPS. This Friday, during the Celebrate SPS event, we will announce the 2026 Teacher of the Year. At our next meeting, which will be May 13th, we will honor the Teacher of the Year and the 4 finalists. On Tuesday, May 6th, we will celebrate 126 SPS retirees who have collectively dedicated over 2,134 years of service to SPS. We want to thank them for their lasting impact they've made on our students and for being a valued part of Team SPS, and wish them well in their next chapter. Graduation for the class of 2025 is about 2 weeks away. As you can see, Dr. Wynn is barely hanging on there as we get ready. We will be celebrating, like I said, graduations for 5 high schools, May 17th at Great Southern Bank Arena on MSU's campus. Studi Alternative High School graduation will be held on Thursday, May the 15th. Start times for each graduation and other important information is available at sps.org. The last day of school, I know people are not excited about it. I know it, but I need to tell you, it's Friday, May 23rd. It will be a full day of school for all of our students. Lastly, just an update for the board and also our community. We are monitoring the power outages across the city and at least 23 of our campus sites. We will make a decision as it relates to schools, and hopefully we will have that information out by 8 o'clock tonight. That concludes my updates.
Thank you, Dr. Lathan. Thank you. Item 7.01, Missouri School Boards Association Delegate Discussion. Each year, the board selects individuals to serve as delegates to the Missouri School Boards Association. I have heard from board members who have expressed interest in serving as a delegate to MSBA on behalf of the board. Based on that feedback, I'll read the recommended action and ask for a motion and a second on each one. Then the board will vote. The recommended action is that the board approve Dr. Sharita Thomas Tate for the MSBA Board of Directors. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Board Member Provance and seconded by Board Member Huff. Let's vote.
Is that going to be here? So we're going to have to do an oral.
Okay, well, let's do an oral vote here. We'll start. Board Member Huff?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye, so it passes with 7 votes. Thank you. The recommended action is that the board approve Susan Provance and Danielle Kincaid for MSBA delegates. Do I have a motion? Dr. Mahad Makani moved, second by Dr. Thomas Tate. Let's vote. Oh, yeah, it has to be verbal. Duh. We'll start at this end. And the chair votes aye. So that passes with 7 votes. The recommended action is that the board approve Miriam Mahatmakani as an alternate to MSBA as a delegate. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
You made the motion. Is there a second? Second. Is there a discussion? Well, what I will say is that when I discussed it with you electronically, you had indicated you would be willing to do any of it. That's what I was going on, Dr. Mahavakani. If you prefer to not do it, that's okay too. You just need to let us know. Okay, thank you. So she has accepted that possibility. So let's take a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes yes, so that passes with 7 votes. Yeah. Item 7.02, board member comments. Now, we're never at a loss for words, so who wants to start? Dr. Thomas Tate, either one.
I'll start. We'll start down here. I'm going to stay brief because I'm trying to make a orchestra concert at Kickapoo at 7. I just wanted to give a shout out to our teams. You know, like many parents, I was sheltering in place in my office thinking about my kids and all of the kids in our facilities. And, you know, I would say I was nervous for them, but I also knew that they were in great hands in an incredible storm shelter, probably safer than I was in the hallways of Bass Pro. So thank you to our teams. I know it was a wild day. And I was going to shout out, it's MAP testing. And so I know that probably threw a wrench in a little bit of that plan today. So I just wanted to give encouragement to our teachers and to our students who are doing that MAP testing and just say, go for it. You're prepared. Rock it. Make us all proud.
Thank you. Other comments? Dr. Thomas Tate?
I also wanted to thank our staff and for the work that you did today with the weather. I was on campus at Missouri State, sheltering in place also during my class, so my class was missed. But I was also wanting to thank the voters to remind you that it's because of your vote, the bond, that we're able to have those storm shelters and we have a safe environment for our kids during those storms. And so thank you so much for that. I also just wanted to mention, as we just voted for the MSBA Board of Directors again. I've been serving in that role. We just happened to have a meeting on this past weekend in Neosho. And there was a lot of really good information shared that I will be sharing with the board. I left my paperwork in Neosho. But there's information about advocacy and getting involved in the state legislature. There's some information about some board governance issue. And really there was a lot of information shared about the importance of MSBA and how they can help and serve us as a board. And I'll be sharing some of that information with you all.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas Tate. Other comments? Board Member Smart?
Well, I just want to say how much I enjoyed the Rose Banquet about a week and a half ago. It was so much fun, even though it was the first time in about 13 years that I have not been on the dais. That was all right. I really enjoyed sitting with family from Kickapoo. Their daughter will be graduating next month, and the Troutmans, Robin, Jill, and Sarah Jane, and it was really fun to hear Sarah Jane's plans for college and her career, and it was really enjoyable to visit with students.
Thank you. Other comments? Board Member Provance?
That was a wonderful Rose Banquet. I had the honor of sitting with Hillcrest, and I had a young lady sitting on my right who was wanting to go into the medical field, and I had a young man sitting on my left that wanted to go into pastoral. And so when I got up to leave, I touched the girl on the shoulder, and I said, "You will save a life, and you will save a soul." So I was honored to be with Hillcrest and such outstanding seniors. I know this was a crazy day in the city of Springfield. I think that there's going to be some places that are going to be a little slower to recover. I don't know how fast CU can work. They're, I'm sure, amazing, but there was a lot of power out, and we wish the best to get the drinking fountains back on at the school. That's electric. Took me a while to figure that out on my own refrigerator at home. Whoa, honey, the refrigerator, what's wrong? Okay. I was always excited about the end of school as a teacher and definitely as a student, but what an exciting end of the school year. We honor the volunteers on Thursday, the teacher of the years, the 5 that'll be honored on Friday. You've got the retirees and then we go to graduation. So what a thankful May. And yes, we do need to thank our, I asked several principals and teachers and anyone that I could run into to ask them, what does SPS need to do to keep you for future years? And I was not surprised with the answer because I'd always heard this. A person doesn't leave their job because they want to change their maybe their career or their career path. They change it because of the people they work with and our climate and culture and how hard our teachers work. And I mean, it's even how hard our bus drivers work to get the kids to school in the first place. And we have so many incredible paras. So excited about the program that we'll get our paras with a teaching certificate. And that is the best way to keep those valuable employees and move them into a greater career path. But we do a great job in our buildings, and we have over 50 little pockets of individual climate and culture that is drawn in by the administration and all the teachers that make it happen. And I can't thank them enough for making the Springfield Public Schools what they are. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
Just a really quick one. So
Dr. McConney?
I love the Rose Banquet, and I don't know who it is, but someone, Dr. Lathan, keeps a note of where we sit, because every year I'm at a different table, which I love, a different high school. So this year I got to be at Parkview, which is my actual home district, but that means next year it has to be Hillcrest. It's the only one missing. I know I will. I already love Hillcrest. But yes, that was really special. It was very well done. And it was in a new facility this go-around at Evangel. It was in a different part of Evangel last time. And I really enjoyed that it kind of moves around. Is it Drury next year now?
Yes, we are Drury next
We're Drury?
The challenge is on.
Yeah. May is certainly a very busy month, and I know we're all looking forward to all the events and last day of school. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. McConney.
I do
Vice
have some
President
comments,
Kincaid?
Yes. For 3 Fridays in a row, thanks to your vision, we invited elected officials statewide to tour our choice programs, and I want to thank those both local elected officials and statewide elected officials who took us up on that opportunity. I know many board members were also able to go. I think we each commented which choice program we would choose if it were many years ago. And thank you to Launch for Dr. Lemon for opening up your building and giving us a tour. Ag Academy, Wolf, and the Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. I'm always just shocked at the fantastic things that are going on in all of our schools, including our choice programs. The other thing I wanted to comment is, and I have the family's permission to share this. Recently, I had the honor to attend a celebration of life of a retired SPS teacher who then became a bus driver in retirement. She was in her late 70s when she passed, and after her friends at the funeral saying, "Keep on the sunny side," because she wanted it to truly be a celebration of life, the pastor opened up the floor for anybody to comment with stories, as you would typically see from friends and family. The stories were inspirational and incredible, all the way from her grandson, who was probably about 8 years old, to her children's childhood friends who had fond memories of being at her home and learning from her, not just in the classroom, but also in her home, all the way to adult students that she taught literally decades ago. It was a bittersweet reminder, and I think many of you had comments this evening about that educating is not a job, it truly is a calling. And thank you to all the SPS employees. You are each educators. You each make a difference every day in a child's life, especially today with the power outages. I do not envy you. But I know that these words were said to her during her lifetime, but it was incredible to hear it all in one place and to see her family just beaming with joy. And it's a powerful reminder of the life-changing impact of educators. And Susan, to you, educators save lives and save souls. So thank you for all you do. And it was a bittersweet moment, but I just wanted to share that your work does not go unnoticed decades later.
Wow. Well, thank you. Just a few things for me. First of all, I would like to compliment and share about Parkview Arts Night, which I attended recently. It was sponsored by the it was in recognition of a grant that the Parkview Art Department had written a year or so ago, and the Foundation for Springfield Public Schools had awarded some money to go with it. It was absolutely incredible, and I'm trying to buy a piece of art actually from a student artist. It was the hallways were just it's beautiful. They're what can be a very sterile-looking environment in terms of a school building sometimes, especially if they're new, and Parkview is still pretty new, really come alive with the murals that are on the walls over there, and they are so Parkview. And I don't even know how to else say that, but for those of us that have lived and breathed at Parkview, you can see it, and it was so fun to see some of our friends, Susan, from years past when we taught there, and they're still there. They're still going every day. They're still going at night and supporting kids. And it was inspirational. It always is. Thank you to Dr. Shaw, your team, and everyone in regard to coming up with the additional funding and the careful stewardship of the bond money that we've had to give us the extra, or the additional, extra, I guess, $48 million, so we can start some more good projects with that. I think that's just an indication of good stewardship and taking very good care of taxpayer money. People do consider that very important. Today was a fast-paced day. I got over here early, and I had set up a meeting, and people were coming and going in terms of weather updates and what school doesn't have this and what school doesn't have that. And so, I've heard it said that teachers make 1,000 decisions a day. Well, I can assure you, and on the run most of the time, I can assure you 1,000 decisions were being made today as people were troubleshooting what was happening out there. Dr. Mahatma Khani, you talked about buildings do have a feel, and they do. You can almost feel the presence of a principal by the feeling you get when you walk in the door. And a lot of things contribute to the climate and culture of a school, but I can assure you a building leader is the beginning of that. When a building leader is welcoming and proud of what they're doing and always looking for something, some way to improve and not afraid to make hard decisions and move forward, those buildings feel good. And so what you're picking up on is absolutely what's out there. So I agree with you 100%. I would be remiss if I didn't say, back to Parkview Arts Night, sorry about this, vocal music performed, strings performed, instrumental music, and it was a wonderful arts night in general. Back to Grace Lodwick, the router and transportation that we honored this evening. She stood up here. For those of you that couldn't see, she had tears in her eyes. It was so special. She was so moved by the honor and the recognition, and you can just feel it from her, how proud she is of Springfield Public Schools, how she loves the kids, how she loves her job, and she continues to give and give and give. So when Board Member Kincaid says that everybody's an educator in our district, they truly are. And look how she educates kids with her work ethic and her kindness. And she demonstrates wonderful things to kids every single day. And honestly, we all think about school safety on a regular basis, but it really school safety starts with transportation, getting the children there. And that takes a dedicated fleet of drivers, and obviously Ms. Lodwick sets the tone for that. So to do her job takes a certain skill set for sure. And it's not just the training that she had, she has a true gift. So thank you all very much. Any other comments from the board? Sarah, we're going to get you there. All right. Our next meeting will be a combined meeting on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. That concludes our meeting. We have a recommended action that the board adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Board Member Huff made the motion. Board Member Thomas Tate, the second. Let's vote.
Thank you, Bruce and Tammy, Charles and Teal, for all of our technology preparations for tonight's board meeting. Thank you.
Motion passes with 7 votes. We are adjourned.